What's going on, my friends? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of the best 6'2 builds that I've come across and used in NBA 2K25. I just made a video a few weeks ago, I think literally last week actually, talking about the 5 best heights in 2K25. Didn't go into crazy detail. I kind of showcased a few builds that you can do. But for this week, I'm going to hopefully show 4 to 6 builds for each height, starting with 6'2s. So let me know in the comments below what you think about these builds and what height did you have the most fun with this year. 6'2 was the build that I used, or the height that I used for ProAm. I tried my best to use 6'2s because of mini marksman. Looking back on it, I'm not really too sure how I feel about it, but let me know in the comments below what height was your favorite to use in NBA 2K25. We're on the road to 3,000 subs. It's June, so I'm not really playing the game a whole lot. So we're really just spending some time now going over the game and recapping what 2K25 brought us, and maybe down the line we can start talking about some of the things that, you know, they need to keep in 2K25 and some things that they need to bring to 2K26. But let's stop yapping. Let's get right into these builds here. 6'2, like I said, very popular height, whether it was for the 2s, 5s, 3s. You know, there was a lot of 6'2s running the guard position this year. So I think that was in large part because of mini marksman. There was no reason to go 6'3 because you just got more attributes at 6'2. So I do think that 6'2 was one of the more popular heights this year in general, not just for guards, but just in the game. I'm going to talk about a park build, a good, well-rounded, maybe rec build, and a pro-am build, and then another build that could literally be used anywhere. So let's start with the pro-am build. 6'2 is really nice for pro-am. If you guys play any pro-am, or you guys, you know, are familiar with the channel, I play a lot of pro-am myself. I've played against some big-time content creators, Dat Boy Dimes, Young Precise, Spam. So I'm familiar with the pro-am scene. 6'2 is very popular. As you can see, you don't need a lot of defense because you're going to be in the corner. So you're not going to be involved whatsoever. As long as you can keep your man in front of you and bump them, you know, you're living pretty fine. So my speed and agility for offense isn't that important. It's really not important at all. 65 strength. I love strength on a point guard this year because strong handle, I think, is it might be the most underrated badge in 2K this year. So I really like that badge. And, you know, when you see this build right here, having an 89 driving dunk, I like to have strong handle. It just gives me a better opportunity to actually get blow-by animations into a dunk. But you got to be fast at 6'2". I think the reason why you would go 6'2 and not another height at guard, like a 6'4 for instance, you want 94 speed with ball. So you'd use 4 cap breakers here to have lightning launch on legend. That's something that I did with my last 6'2 build. It looked something very similar to this. But I had a lot more pass. I needed to have 94 speed with ball, it felt like, if I was going to be 6'2. You're not at a disadvantage at 6'2 in Pro-Am because you do come across a 6'4 lock, but for the times that you come across a 6'4 lock or a 6'6 lock, the minimum speed that they're going to have on their lock build is going to be a 94 speed. So if I have a 91 speed with ball, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage there. So I didn't like the idea, especially for myself. I'm not that great at point guard. You know, I need every bit of help that I can get. So having access to that 94 speed with ball was nice at 6'2. That was definitely the plus side of being 6'2. 5 cap breakers here for Steve Francis, obviously. 95 ball handle is a necessity at point guard. Doesn't matter what height you decide to go with if you make a point guard build. I really do think that you have to have 95 ball handle. Pass ac, Tyrese Halliburton pass style. If you're really good without that, you know, you could go 85 here and maybe lower your perimeter a little bit and just see how much more midi you can get, which you're not going to get a ton, but you know, you could do that if you wanted to. I didn't do that for this one because, you know, like I said, I absolutely love everything about let me try to get this back in order. All right, we just got to go back. I absolutely love Tyrese Halliburton pass style. I think it's definitely the best pass style in the game, especially at point guard. The ability to kind of just throw a crazy one-handed pass without really having to have any skill at it is something that's very nice. So that's why I went with it. 5 cap breakers here for 99.3. Right there with ball handle at 95. It is a necessity to have a 99.3 in Pro-Am. If you don't have a 99.3 in Pro-Am at point guard, you are gonna struggle, to be honest with you. So gotta have that. You could put some cap breakers, whatever's left over, so 5, 10, 14. Whether you have 1 or 2 more, you can just keep adding to the midi, so you'll be at like a 92 or a 93 midi. You don't get any badges for more midi, but you know, when you have shifty shooter on legend because of your 99.3, this midi feels really, really good, especially if you use like a deep bomb or take. Getting to that 92, 93 midi after cap breakers, you're going to be able to have, you know, near 99 midi with takeover. So very nice there. But having the ability to get 89 driving dunk, which is possible at 6'2", another plus side with the 6'2" is that you can get your 99.3 high midi, high playmaking attributes, and still maintain to get posterizer somehow. So that's another plus side to the 6'2". So yeah, very well-rounded build. You want to go a little more extra perimeter here, in my opinion, challenger, because you are shorter, and then you have access to interceptor on gold. So in my opinion, if you're going to make a 6'2", this is about as good of a 6'2" that you can make for Pro-Am. Obviously, if you wanted to have less defense and really be just a absolute bucket, you know, you could probably get more midi, but you know, I feel like this offense is cracked, so you might as well, you know, not be a traffic cone on defense. So I like that build a lot right there. The next one I'm going to talk about is going to be for the 2s. If you've played 2s, this is the most toxic year for 2s in 2K history, in my opinion. I made a 6'4" with 98 speed and 99 agility, and I came across someone that was using this kind of build. He was a legend build using a 6'2", and he had access to having, you know, extra cap breakers. So he had 91 speed with ball, 99 midi and 3. I know it doesn't show it here, but bear with me here. So that's 10 here, 12 there. So he still had 8 more. So he put 5 here and whatever was left over here. So he had 99 speed, agility, 3 and midi, while still being able to dribble. Being able to have 84 ball handle, you can do the Luka Doncic slide, where if you're dribbling to your right, you can do a quick behind the back to your left, and now it's like a burst out dribble move to get into space. But for this in particular one, I have like 15 cap breakers, so I would put 5 here for 99.3, 2 here for 91 speed with ball, puts you at 7. Here I'd put 4, so that's like 11. And then I put my other 4 here, so you'd have 98 here, 99, 91, 98, 96 agility would still be there. Very, very good. You don't get slippery off ball on Hall of Fame, but I mean, you can easily badge +1 and get that on legend if that's something that you wanted. 91 steal, 87 perimeter, very, very good. The big one is off ball pest here. That's why you go up that extra 2. If you're playing the L2 cheesers in this game, you know, you got to have a little bit of off-ball pest, to be honest with you. Kind of gross, but you need it. And then you're just abusing screens. So that's why the pass accuracy is low. We're not going to pass, to be quite honest with you, in 2s. We're going to honestly force more shots than... We're going to force bad shots over passing the ball and just hope that our big man can get a rebound, quite honestly. That's kind of how this build works. So, this is what I think is the best 2 guard, or the best guard build in 2, excuse me, jeez Louise. But yeah, that was a very solid build this year. This one right here is more for like rec. So you're going to have access to your 89 driving dunk, bailout, you know, you're not going to be passing a ton. It's not that hard to pass in rec. The 89 pass feels necessary for Pro-Am because, I mean, you're playing against better competition, at least for me playing in tournaments and all that kind of stuff. You know, the extra pass definitely helps. So, but in rec, you really just need 85. You don't even need to go above 85 if you're a guard, in my opinion. 85 midi is that threshold that we've talked about before. You get a pure green window at 85 midi. Combine that with 5 cap breakers being on 3. You know, now your 85 midi feels more like 90. Plus the deep bomber take, you're going to get up to lower 90 midi, 92 midi with takeover. So really good stuff there. Again, you're going to go with your ball handle here at a 95. And then it's really just up to you, especially if you're playing rec. In rec, you can definitely get away with a 91 speed with ball here and put the rest of your speed here, or excuse me, the rest of your cap breakers on your speed. So if you go 5 here, 5 there, 99, 95, and then if you really wanted to go 5 here and have 92 speed, definitely an option there. I think 82 agility in the random rec is definitely usable, especially when you combine that with having 85 perimeter and 85 steal. It's going to feel pretty good. Like I said before, if you have any kind of takeover that ups your speed as well, you know, you're pretty much walking around at 95 speed. It's very easy to, you know, contribute to your takeover as a point guard this year because you're passing, you're scoring, defending pretty well, getting some plucks and some, you know, steals through the air. So very solid build here. Again, the 89 driving dunk, not too bad here. So another solid 6'2". You can probably make a better 6'2" for rec than that, but I really like this one right here. I've made this build before. This is the build of, like, you know, depending on how many cap breakers you have, you can do whatever you want. So for instance, if you wanted to put 5 cap breakers here for 3, you can do that. You'd have a 99-3. No matter what, probably use 6 cap breakers total here. 1 here for your speed with ball to go up to a 91. 5 here for Steve Francis, as always. And then you really have the choice of, do I want to up my speed more, get like mid 93, 94 speed here? You can decide to go 99 perimeter there if you really wanted to. If you wanted to go 99 perimeter, I would probably put a little bit more on my speed. You could put 2 cap breakers here, have Hall of Fame shooting down the board. That's 2 there. 5 here, that's 7. 8 here. Now you got, what, 7 left. So if you really wanted to, you could put 5 here. 95 speed, another 2 here, 96. So now you got Challenger, on ball menace on, you know, on legend. This build is designed to kind of do what you want. You could do an extra steal here and get 96. This is just kind of dependent on what kind of cap breakers do you have. You know what I'm saying? Very solid build here as well. Yeah, I mean, you could do a lot of things with a 6'2". As opposed to maybe like a 6'7" or 6'8", there's not as much that you can do. But at 6'2", like, you're so small and have so many attribute points that you can kind of do whatever you want. If you want to make a 2-way build, you can make this. You want to make a ProAm build that is just cracked offensively, you can make the first build that I showed you. You want to make a 2s build, I showed you. So 6'2", very popular build. Best guard build, we'll save that for tomorrow with the 6'4" tomorrow, but 6'2" is still a very, very good height. Let me know if you have a 6'2" build that was really good that maybe I should have mentioned. I feel like I showed just about every kind of 6'2". The ProAm version, the Park version, those are the 2 best builds that I came across and used in 2K this year. And then this one, more well-rounded, and the first one kind of, you know, more leaning towards the offensive heavy side of things, but very serviceable in rec. So let me know what you think about these builds. Sub up if you're new. Leave a like. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Peace.